This is the new Tesla Model Y. There have been some significant changes to the exterior design. There have been some big changes to the inside too, though you have to know what to look for. One key change though will be very welcome. You have to wait to see what it is. There are some other changes too which help the Model Y feel a little bit more expensive than before. One is in here. Then there are the changes underneath the skin which are designed to make the car better to drive. And I'm going to tell you some big news about the battery and the motors, which might surprise you. And we might find a few things that are a little bit embarrassing for Tesla, such as what's on the screen right now. And finally, to make sure you're fully aware of the differences between the new car and the old one, I'll be pointing them out to you very, very clearly. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow. Let's be honest, the Model Y is the least attractive of all the Teslas, and that's saying something. Sorry. But there is something ever so slightly fish-like about the Model Y, even more so than the Model 3, but they fixed it. Now, normally when a manufacturer facelifts a car, they just put a new design bumper on and maybe some new headlights. They don't touch the metal bits. But Tesla has here at the front. So there's a new bonnet and there's new wings. And you need the new wings really because the headlights are a completely different shape. Look at them, they're like this thin strip. You see what they've actually done is move the main headlight unit down here like so many other manufacturers do. I think the whole trend was started with Citroen. These are just your daytime running lights. And as you can see, they blend into this strip right across the front of the car. You can clearly see how this car is inspired by the Cybertruck, even like this sharpy edge here. Other changes are in the plastic bits here. You've got bigger air breathers than before. The whole lower bumper has been redesigned. And you know what, as facelifts go, this is by far and away one of the most effective ones I have ever seen on any car. It actually looks all right. Changes at the side are minimal, basically just some new alloy wheel designs. These are the 19 Aero wheels, but you can get 20s. Oh, and the new Model Y doesn't have the little mud flap that the old car did. There are some new door mirrors though with this little crease in them there. Kind of look cool, but they do serve a purpose. More on that in a second. The biggest change is here at the back. So this is the old Model Y. And do you know what? It's as though they didn't even bother to design this car. They just got a Model 3 and then just stretched the image on their phone and goes, that'll do. This is way better, isn't it? It actually looks quite good for like a mid-level family SUV. Some key differences, you probably notice the rear lights, which look very, very cool. And they actually project the mood lighting here over the Tesla badge. Look, if I put my hand there, you'll see. Ooh, got a redesigned rear diffuser as well and a slightly different spoiler, and that brings me on to the differences. You see, while they work visually, they also work aerodynamically. You see, the longest range four-wheel drive version of the Tesla Model Y used to be able to do 331 miles on a full charge, whereas this new one, like for like, can do 353 miles. So that's an improvement of 22 miles, just thanks to all this extra aero stuff. Clever. Now, Tesla hasn't really said that they've improved the quality on the new Model Y, but I think they have. Here's why. So, listen to me open and close the door on the old one. Sounds slightly hollow. Now, have a listen to this one. That sounds more expensive. Also, here in the back, while the door pockets are lined with felt, the actual inside isn't, so things can still rattle around in there. Plus, look at the pockets on the seat backs, and look, just a little flap of fabric-y stuff. Here in the new car, the lining in the door pocket not only feels like slightly plusher, but you do have it throughout the entire door bin. Also, the door bin's way bigger. Look, it goes all the way back there. Plus, proper airplane-style folders on the seat backs, way more premium. Also, the fake leather in the old car does feel a little bit plasticky. And, you know, while the quality here on the door trims is okay, I like the Alcantara bit here. When you move over to the new car, that just feels more expensive. We've got more materials going on, more design. Just feels nicer, especially the fake leather on the seats. Just less fake feeling. Here's the cockpit of the previous generation Model Y. Just take note of the center console design with the exposed cup holders, storage there. and the wood trim on the dash, which is actually real but feels fake, although you could have a strip of white plastic. Oh, and obviously look, you've got a lever there for your drive select and for your indicators, and a windscreen wiper button then. Here in the new Model Y you get this new steering wheel, and there are some touch sensitive buttons there, like for the windscreen wipe and various other bits and pieces, but thankfully there is one stalk. So unlike in the Model 3 and the Model S, you do have an indicator stalk. Yay! However, the drive select is still on the screen, which I absolutely hate, to tell you the truth. Speaking of the screen, the main operating system is exactly the same as before, no change there. In fact, there's definitely no change, is there? Because look, graphic of the car isn't the new one. What's going on? Just bear with me, I'm going to go find out. While I'm at it, they've made the door release bigger, so it's easier to actually find the button when you're trying to get out in a hurry. Cameron?
Hello.
Oh, there we are.
I'm hiding behind one of these.
Reveal yourself. So what's going on in here? Because I've noticed that we've got the old Model Y.
Oh, it's free.
Yeah, what's going on?
Pre-production. It's going to be a software update to get rid of that.
The new Model Y gets the dash design of the new Model 3. And while it looks similar, it also looks way better, doesn't it? And you get like this kind of fabric here on the dash. And obviously this big light bar that sweeps round the front of the car like that. And you can, of course, change the colour of the ambient lighting. I should point out that unlike with things like BMWs and Mercedes and stuff, this is all standard, included in the price of the car. All these features, you get everything as standard pretty much on a Tesla Model Y. Right, what else do you need to know? You've got a cubby space there, but now the cup holders are covered, just so it has a nice cleaner design to it. Very similar, but just slightly better. Plus, the seats just feel better than before as well, more comfortable, and they're perforated. And the reason they're perforated is that as well as being heated, they are now also cooled. Look, you can cool your seats. Lovely. There is something that I think is better about the old Model Y compared to the new one, and it is the price. So for this dual motor long range version, it's £52,000. This new one here, they haven't actually explained the full pricing system, but this is a launch edition which gets an extra badge and some slightly different trim on the dash. But other than that, it's the same spec as that car. This is £61,000, so that's an increase of £9,000. If you take away the launch edition, maybe what's that, £2,000 max? It's got more expensive. So the Tesla Model Y has always been very spacious, loads of headroom, knee room, foot space and all that kind of stuff. And you could recline the seat slightly by pulling on that lever to get them into that position. But other than that, it's a little bit kind of bland feeling in here. Here in the new Model Y, there is the same feeling of space, but there's something I've noticed that really improves the comfort. And it's that these seat bases just seem to extend further, give you more support under your legs. That is better. You've got different seat architecture, and once again they're perforated. As before though, the rear seats are heated but not cooled like in the front, which is a bit of a shame. And you have a little button down by the side to recline the rear seat. So rather than having two positions, you can alter it a little bit more precisely, just as you want or don't want it. And then there's this. Look, you've got a screen here in the back for the rear passengers, so you can control things like different games and look at movies and all that kind of stuff. Control the climate here in the back. And there's this feature as well. I can move the front seat forward, just like in a limousine. Yeah, you can squash the person in the front just for lols. Now, one of the things that people complained about with the Model Y was that the suspension was just too firm for this kind of car. So the good news is that Tesla has worked on the suspension for the new car. However, I found out that actually they've made the suspension firmer. Anyway, as well as doing that, they've altered the suspension geometry, the steering feel. They've also stiffened the body shell and used the damper profile from the Model 3. And to be fair, the suspension on the Model 3 feels better than on the previous generation. So maybe even though it's stiffer suspension, it just works better. It's hoping. There's also something weird going on with the boot. You see, there is no discernible difference in the shape or the size of the boot. However, Tesla quotes that in total, the new Model Y has 2,130 litres of storage space, whereas the old car has 2,150. So 20 litres has been lost somewhere. Maybe it's just a rounding error. Finally, we come to the big news about the updates with the battery and the motors. And the news is that actually, there is no news. Sorry to clickbait you, but yeah, it's a bit odd that they haven't done any changes in that respect, though I guess they didn't for the Model 3 upgrade either, did they? So these are the stats.